Hey everybody, and welcome to Death By, where contestants will earn reps for their arguments or fear elimination. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Whoever I decide has the best argument through the final round will stand at the top of the podium and earn 30 seconds to talk about a topic of their choosing. On today's episode, we have the Chief Executive Officer over at Matt Fraser's training camp, HWPO, Matt O'Keefe, the owner and head coach of Underdogs Athletics, former musician, and the reigning champ from last week, Justin Kotler, the owner of Coast Range CrossFit and former Games athlete, Wes Pyatt, and the 2008 CrossFit Games champion and 8-time CrossFit Games athlete and the owner of NC Fit, Jason Khalifa.
What's up?
Let's play Death By. Age Group Semifinals, they kick off this week, and on Monday, CrossFit released both the floor plans and the workouts. Similar to the 2020 virtual part of the CrossFit Games, CrossFit will release a password within the time domain that each test should be completed to ensure that athletes don't do them early. So is this a format that CrossFit should use for other parts of the season, like quarterfinals? Justin, since you won last week, we will let you begin. 30 seconds on the clock.
Well, let me first start by saying how lovely you look today, Lauren.
Suck up. Love it.
Listen, I'm a fan of the early release of the equipment list and the floor plan. It helps out affiliates and you can get things situated early. But I have no problem keeping an element of CrossFit, the unknown and unknowable, for the workouts. I'm a big fan of that in the online perspective. Obviously, in person, it's great to be able to prep a bit. It's more entertainment. But prior to, unknown, unknowable.
O'Keefe, what are your thoughts on this one?
Thanks for having me. Good to be here. A lot like Justin. I would say that the more information, the better from my perspective. I don't think you lose that CrossFit element by putting a floor plan out. This obviously helps affiliate owners prepare and people who are doing it at home. I guess the big question for me is, when can we get these portions of the season at live events?
Ooh, I like that. Wes, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, I think that being an affiliate owner for 10 years now, the more time I have to prepare, the better as far as what type of equipment, what's going to be the floor plan. So I say actually come up with just a standardized floor plan and a standardized set of equipment that we use every year. And then I would actually go the opposite of what Justin said. And I would have it be more kind of known during the open and have it be a little more unknown during the in-person competitions. Let's see if those guys can handle the hopper style of programming.
Ooh, interesting take there. Kalipo, what's your take this time?
Feeding off of last week when we were talking about the inconsistencies in judging, I think what's critical is putting out this stuff as early as possible, creating consistency, having the workouts out, having the floor plans out. I think that'll give time for people to prepare. I think that'll lead to less judging errors, less issues. And as Wes was saying, I think leave the unknown and unknowable for the in-person live type events. I think that's a great place for it to be. I think the cream will rise to the top. I think what matters the most is consistency. Put it out early.
All right. At the end of round one, we have a three-way tie with Justin Kotler, last week's champ, with 2 points. Wes also with 2 points. Jason with 2 points. And then Matt O'Keefe just a little bit behind with 1 point. We'll let him begin round number 2. So speaking of the age group semifinals, altogether there are 6 total tests with a variety of movements, skills, and time domains. You each have been granted some control to either add or subtract a programming element. What would it be? 45 seconds on the clock. Matt O'Keefe, we begin with you.
Yeah, I always cringe a little being an old guy when I see snatches and muscle ups, but I understand that's a part of the test. But yeah, I would say that from this particular set of workouts, the muscle up thruster combo, I just don't love it. I want you to put a test out and ask people to do the same test, not test how they can game a workout. I'm just not a fan of that. I don't really understand that. I want it to be a little more objective. That's all I got for you.
That's okay. A good answer nonetheless. You earned 2 points. You're still back in the running in round 2. All right, Justin, what would you like to add or subtract?
Well, funny, I agree with Matt about test number 2. I think it's a horribly programmed event. They've made the muscle ups inconsequential, essentially. So that's my first big complaint. But really, the movement that I would love to take out is shuttle runs. I mean, I just think we're all so sick and tired of watching shuttle runs and doing shuttle runs. At this point on online competitions, I think there's so many other things that we can do, and there's so many other movements that we could introduce that are interesting. They did the shuttle run thing, and now they're just beating a dead horse. So I would take shuttle runs out, and I would put them out to pasture, and I would leave them there, never to be seen again.
Never to ever return to any part of competition. Yes. Wes, what do you want to see in, out? What are your thoughts?
Oh man, I think one of my favorite parts of in-person competitions are the human element. So when you take away the human element and you make it something everybody loves to do, then you don't see these blow-ups on the floor. You don't see people freaking out about stuff like shuttle runs. I think keep the shuttle runs in, just specifically for the fact that it's going to test these athletes mentally. The second they get something they don't want to have, how do you respond to it? Are you able to find something good in it and actually get something out of it? Or are you just going to complain about it all the time? So I like the shuttle runs. I think keep them in. And if I was going to take something out in this age range, it would be the muscle up.
Ooh, okay. Taking out the muscle up. Interesting. Jason Kalipa, what are your thoughts? And you can also add a different movement in if that's what you want to do.
I think the shuttle run should go away, primarily because we've already seen it tested. I think that, we've already seen it. I think that test something else. But in regards to the workout, the thruster muscle up, I have a little bit of a different perspective on it. I actually think it's interesting, and it's cool to watch how someone can game a specific workout. Is it a phenomenal test? Well, there's going to be more tests that are going to happen to see who's the champion at the CrossFit Games. But I do think that it brings an element of like, what are people going to do? And I think it's actually going to engage the community really well to see how athletes actually approach it instead of it just being another workout. It is something different that we haven't seen. So for that reason, I like that one because it's different. I think it's going to engage people. Let's get rid of the shuttle runs.
Ooh, okay. At the end of round 2, for the first time ever, we have a 3-way tie.
Of course.
You know what? We're going to let you all advance to the next round, but going into the third round, 2 people are going to be eliminated.
Everybody's a winner.
Nope, no. Only one person will end at the beginning or at the final round, but we're going to take 2 people eliminated in round 3. So make sure that you fight for your life here for extra points.
Everybody gets a trophy, guys.
Nope, we're not doing that. Here we go. Topic number 3. With half of the CrossFit Games season virtual, it comes an extensive video review process. We've seen athletes receive minor penalties where they get dinged with a few no reps. We've seen major penalties where athletes can receive a 15% score deduction. And in very few cases, we've even seen athletes receive a 0 score or even an invalid score. So with so much weighing on virtual competitions during the season, should the penalties be more severe? We now have 1 minute on the clock. Jason, I'm going to let you start.
All right, here we go. 1 minute. I don't think there necessarily should be more severe penalties. I think they need to lay out the expectations more clearly. And this whole idea of unknown, unknowable, reinventing different rules on each year, I think needs to be addressed. You're talking about more than half the season, or half the season is online now. And if you're trying to test the fittest to get them to the CrossFit Games, I don't think the answer is penalize more. I think the answer is have clear, concise directions on what is the movement patterns, what is the range of motion desired, and then stick with something for a period of time. I think when you have new movements come up with different types of judging standards, it creates confusion. I think CrossFit needs to figure out what is the layout required, and simplify what they're doing, not try and magnify, and you get the best people to the games and not over focus on penalizing, but over focus on clear communication.
I like that. Wes, what are your thoughts on this one?
I like the idea of having everybody have to submit a video and then just have the community judge the videos. And if one of them starts rising up, we're seeing a ton of, no reps on this person's, well, then the community can kind of take care of it. And as it gets into an area of, let's say, top 100, where it actually affect the people going to semifinals, then those penalties become more severe. But for the rest of them, let them just have a good time.
Okay, let's go to Justin Kotler now.
I don't have much interest in more severe penalties. Similar to what Jason said, but just taking it a little bit further, I think that we need clearly defined movement standards. And since I don't know if I'll make it to the end, I'll get on my soapbox now and talk about how I feel like prior to each season, if you want to add movements, that's fine. But prior to each season, we need a movement standards manual or document that clearly defines all the standards prior to the season for both judges and athletes, complete with demo videos, so that going into each season, everyone understands very clearly what a movement is and what a movement is not. We have such conflicting standards and verbiage in everything, every single the open, quarterfinals, semifinals, etc. You see, even this week now, you've got one workout that says 185, 125, and then it's written 185, 135 somewhere else. There needs to be clear standards at every single stage.
Justin, you brought up some really great points. However, I don't necessarily know that you answered the question, but that was a great soapbox rant nonetheless. Let's finish the round with Matt O'Keefe. What are your thoughts on increasing the severity of penalties?
Yeah, I don't agree we need to increase the severity of penalties. I think, it's really hard. There's so much subjectivity here, angles of lenses. I'm just not a big fan of the at-home element in competition when we're trying to find the fittest on earth, the world champion of our sport. We need to find ways to get more people together to compete live. I don't know if different stages and layers along the way make sense to have approved facilities with professional judges that we approve through a process. But I understand and identify how hard it is to judge this stuff at home. I think we put too much weight on the overall results of the season in somebody's gym at home. Get these guys together more. Let's have them race. It's what we all want to watch. We don't want to watch at-home videos. I think we can all agree on that.
Yep, get them in person. At the end of round number 3, we have Matt O'Keefe and Jason Kalipa tied with 5 points each. And since we advanced all 4 of you, we now say goodbye to 2 of you, Justin Kotler, Wes Pyatt, with just 4 points. You have both been eliminated. Topic number 4. In the past 3 to 5 years, training camps have grown significantly within the sport. Athletes have switched camps or programs, and some have even packed their bags and uprooted their lives to train with these camps in person. Recently, HWPO, for example, had a grand opening of their new state-of-the-art headquarters and training facility to ensure that they can accommodate athletes, or more athletes rather. Fast forward now to 5 years from now. What will be the biggest difference that we'll see at training camps? O'Keefe, I was with you in Vermont a couple of weeks ago. What are your thoughts, especially as you've seen the progress from start up until now?
Yeah, well, that was some amazing right there. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that, a more cohesive approach. I think you'll see camps have more resources for athletes, not just from a training perspective, marketing, media. You see some of that now. Those elements are developing. You'll see more, crossover in. I know we're trying to go that route. So more athletes training from different sports together, and overall, just more athletes doing this and committing at a younger age and actually relocating. You look at Mallory; she moved here. Kind of looked at it like, hey, I'm going to college, going all in at a younger age. getting with a coach from the beginning rather than seeing some success first. That's just more resources, in camps will allow for more situations like that, for them to have more dedicated facilities and more, coaching resources and more access. So,
Jason, what are your thoughts? You've been in the game for a long time, but never part of a training camp. Where do you think that these facilities will be 5 years from now?
Well, I actually think that, I might be biased here, but I actually think that NorCal Cross was the first original training camp. And at the time,
Oh,
it was us and obviously a crew over in New England and some in Invictus. But I do think that we had the original training camp where there was a group of us that trained every day. There was 5, 6 of us. And I think what it did is it leveled us up. It allowed us to have fun in our training environment. It allowed to see what was possible in our training environment to push ourselves. And I think that it'll be a prerequisite for the future. If you want to do the games, if you want to reach your potential, I think you'll have to be a part of a training camp long term. And I think the reason why you see that is that training by yourself, I think, has benefits, but training along with others, I think, keeps you engaged, make sure you have fun, make sure you're learning something new, and most importantly, shows you what's possible from people around you. So you could strive to get as better or as good as them at different areas and level up accordingly. So I think over time, training camps will be a must for people who want to win the CrossFit Games.
ooh, I kind of like that conversation. We're going to put 10 more seconds on the clock for each of you. Matt O'Keefe, I'll let you begin. Do you think that in the next 5 years, the only people on the podium will be people from training camps? 10 seconds.
yes.
And it'll only be from HWPO.
And 10 seconds for Jason. Do you think that in 5 years from now, the only podium contenders will be from a training camp?
Yes, the reason why I do is that you don't know what you don't know. When you're training with other people, I've seen it firsthand, it helps you reach your potential. To win the CrossFit Games, you have to reach your potential.
Awesome. Interesting. I kind of like
Another
that
tie?
topic. We'll
Let's
have to dig
go. Let's
more
go,
into
Matt.
that.
Apparently
Yeah.
Apparently, you get 12 seconds when you mean 10. That's how. They
Oh. Trust me, his answers are more concise than last time we were here, O'Keefe.
That was a buzzer beater. I barely got it
A
across.
buzzer beater.
That was Sean's. It was in the air.
Right.
like
It
that.
was in the air. He was lobbing it, and then it went in at the last second. At the end of round number 4, we do have a tie, 7-7. Now, this is for all of the marbles. After round number 5, we will crown the official winner this week. So, over the last several years, we have seen several iterations of the CrossFit Games season structure. You have a magic wand. Both of you, we're going to Disney World, Harry Potter World. What do you think is the ideal season structure? It can be an old format, a new format, really anything goes here. Jason, we're going to let you start this time.
Look, I'm a little bit biased. I liked the format of the Open Regionals Games. I thought it was easy to understand. I thought that you took this wide pool of people and you got down to a more consolidated amount. Then you had in-person events, and then went on to the games. I thought that structure was conducive to getting the right people to the games for a period of time. I thought it was great. I don't necessarily. If I had a magic wand, I don't necessarily care what the structure is. What I care mostly, identify a structure and stick with it and be open and honest with the pitfalls, adjust accordingly, and then stick with that for a period of time. But keep reinventing the wheel is not the way to go, right? I think that right now, you look at the semifinals, for example, it's on social media, but it's not on the website. Clear communication, identify what the plan is, roll it out accordingly, and then get people bought in on that structure. That's the key. But I obviously love Open Regionals Games.
All right, Matt O'Keefe, what is your ideal season structure?
Yeah, I have a strong opinion here through my experience. I think we have to eliminate elite athletes, games athletes doing the Open. Personally, I think we need to condense the season. I think we get them more in person, encourage them to do Rogue and Wadapalooza, make those a part of the point system. skip that first phase. I don't like quarterfinals, but have the Open be something that they contribute to from a marketing perspective. They do announcements, they promote it. I think they'd all buy into that, and you get these guys in person more. And the season's very cohesive at that point. We start at Rogue and we end at the CrossFit Games and crown the world champion. Sort of analogous to PGA Tour FedEx Cup. There's a point system that is clearly there's a path to winning that overall season world ranking. So I would eliminate those games athletes doing that first phase.
Ooh, two very different season structures at the end of 5 rounds. Matt O'Keefe, you were so close, finishing with 9 points, but it was Jason Khalipa who came back with vengeance. He wanted to stand on the podium pedestal, so now he is awarded 30 seconds, a topic of your choosing, and begin.
Topic of my choosing is I think the CrossFit Games need to come out with what their charter is. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to have athletes go to the CrossFit Games and on national television have them see and learn new skills and be able to adapt and overcome that quickly? Or are they trying to showcase them as gladiators, of these amazing athletes that they are, and give them these events ahead of time so that they could show up better online? I think what needs to be decided from the CrossFit Games and have them clearly determine is, what is the charter of the CrossFit Games? What are we doing moving forward? Is it to test this unknown and unknowable? Or are we okay with giving them the known earlier so that we can showcase their skills in a highlighted way where people can really watch them on TV and be like, wow. And if either one works, just let us know.
Jason Khalipa, congratulations. Justin Kotler, how does it feel that Jason stole the crown from you this week?
Listen, there's been only 2 winners, and I'm very happy to share the winner's circle with Jason. You know what I mean? He's a good dude. So
you got to add like a star in their graphic, in their like winning.
Right.
Like a 1 star, 2. You can start piling them up.
Compiling.
I
like that.
It's like at the games where you have like the things on your shirt for the champ.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a solid. That's a nice touch, Matt.
You got one of those.
Yes, he does.
So many great
Winners
ideas
win.
within
Winners
this
win.
circle right now. Matt O'Keefe, Justin Kotler, Wes Pyatt, Jason Khalipa, thank you guys all so much for joining us on another episode of Death By. Make sure that you go to our YouTube channel, like, subscribe, follow us on social media, and make sure that you check in every week as we release a new episode here. From everybody at Talking Elite Fitness, I'm Lauren Kalil, and we'll see you next time.